Hello and welcome everyone to today's Platinum Mastermind with Craig Proctor and TW. Obviously we've got a webinar program set up for you today, and I'm going to respectfully request that you get settled into your seat there and grab your notepad, grab your pen. You're going to want to make some notes here as we move along. There's a lot to discuss. As a matter of fact, I remember clearly back to the mid-90s, 1996 it might have been, when I first heard about an inside sales agent from Craig Proctor, and it was an absolute game changer for my business. I mean, and I can't even describe what it did for my real estate business, but we're going to get into it as much as we can in detail today. But I think the best person to help us with this system, from the nuts and bolts of it, exactly what to do, how to do it, so that you can take your whole inside sales agent system, establish it, take it to the next level. There's nobody better to help us with it than Mr. Craig Proctor. Craig, are you there?
I am, Todd. Good afternoon or good morning, depending on what part of the country you're in. And it is a game changer. I'll explain to everyone on our webinar here today how I came up with this, and I kind of failed my way into the realization that this position needed to be created in the first place. So it wasn't that I was so smart. It was I was just kind of failing at what I was doing and had to figure out a better way to get the job done.
What do you mean failing at what you were doing?
Okay. Well, I had no shortage of leads. So that was the first thing I figured out, is lead generation. And my solution to lead generation was Craig was going to run around and work with all the buyers and sellers. And you know the outcome of that story. I was burnt out. You end up resenting your career, resenting your life. You're working all the time, and that's certainly, some of you are there, right? You know what I'm talking about. So then we get the bright idea that we're going to hire some help, which is a bright idea. So administrative people come first, right? That's the natural thing, is you hire people to take care of all the non-licensed activities. And that's exactly what I did. And her name was Cindy, and she took care of everything that didn't require a real estate license. But I was still saddled with working with all of the sellers and all of the buyers. And then I met Lindy Black, and Lindy worked with all the buyers, and I worked with all the sellers. And Cindy took care of all the administrative activities. And it wasn't too long before Lindy Black would come into the office, and her hair was all over the place, and she was complaining that I had ruined her life, and in fact, she had no time left. All she was doing was working. So we hired a second buyer's agent, a third buyer's agent, and they were just buyer agents. So there was no outside sales agent. I was taking listings, they were taking buyers. Well, it wasn't too long before I realized that Lindy could meet with the sellers and do just as well with the sellers as she was doing with the buyers. So I coined the term outside sales agents. Couldn't call her a buyer agent anymore, right? Because she was working with buyers and she was working with sellers. So she was an outside sales agent. But as the leads keep pouring in, and I'm doing my darndest to follow up the leads, and I've got more time now, face it, I got more time to follow up the leads because I've got Lindy and this other outside sales agent working with a lot of the buyers and sellers. At this point, I'm still hogging the best ones, and that's what you ought to do. You hog the best ones. You delegate the B's and C's to your outside sales agents. So I got more time to follow up the leads. And I'm following up the leads, and I realize that I can make more money following up the leads and actually going out on the appointment. So far, this is a really good idea. So I'm calling, and I'm calling, and I'm calling, and I'm working 7 days a week calling all the leads. And I realize, because my marketing's working so well, even though I'm giving out the majority of the appointments to the outside sales agents, I cannot call all the leads back. So I figure, okay, how am I going to solve this problem? I get it. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to give the excess leads, the B and C leads, to my outside sales agents, right? They should be hungry to call these leads. So many of you have tried that. So I'm calling and calling and calling as much of the leads as I possibly can, and I'm trying to pick off the A leads, the B leads. I'm giving the C's and D's to my outside sales agents. Well, I give Lindy 20 leads, and because Lindy's pretty darn good on the phone, she calls about 4 or 5 of them. She books a listing appointment or a buyer appointment, and boom, she's out the door. And guess what? The other 15 leads don't get called. So here was my realization. When I was giving the leads to the outside sales agents, they sucked at it. They were horrible at it. Could they be good at it? Yes, but it's not their thing. They're outside sales agents. That's when I coined the term, I need an inside sales agent. I need an agent that won't be tempted to run out the door as soon as they get an appointment. In fact, I said, I'm going to hire inside sales agents and make it illegal in my office for the inside sales agents to work with buyers and sellers. The inside sales agents are only allowed to set the appointments. So it was illegal in my office for the outside sales agents to get leads, but also illegal in my office for the inside sales agents to run out and work with buyers and sellers. And when you think about it, those two roles require different types of people, right? You've got your high I personality with some D. That's the person you want to hire to be an outside sales agent. They love just going from appointment to appointment, showing houses, getting listings, and that's definitely the kind of person you want. But it takes a different kind of person to sit on, on the phone in front of a computer at a desk all day long. Required, targeting a different type of real estate agent. And I'm going to talk to you today about who best fits that role. There's a special type of agent that you can go after. And, they have to be licensed in my marketplace, Todd. I don't know if that was the case in Metro Atlanta, but here in Canada, to use the universal callback script and ask the questions that we're asking, they had to be licensed. If you're in a state, an area where they don't have to be, makes it way easier, right, if they don't have to have a license to find somebody to follow up. You're really looking for a telemarketer that has a real estate license. Right now, most people that get a real estate license, they don't want to be telemarketers. So we'll talk a little bit today on our webinar about how to pull this off and who to hire and how to hire them. So that's how I came up with the position of inside sales agent. Honestly, I don't think there was anybody in real estate way back then that had inside sales agents. I think that was an innovation. Now today a lot of people do, but I think that's how it all came about. And I had inside sales agents like, we're talking 10, 15 years ago, 10 years ago at least, which makes me kind of old, I guess.
All right, so a couple of things. First, on the webinar today, over on the right-hand side is the control panel. And everyone at any time, you can raise your hand, ask a question. I can unmute your microphone, and we can take questions as they come, at an appropriate time, Craig, after we get some of this information out there. But I want to let everybody know that this is the same thing as if you were calling in and then we opened up the queue. The cool thing is that now Craig and I can see right away what your questions are. We can see if you raise your hand and you want to ask a question, and immediately unmute microphone. So let's make good use of the technology that we have access to here with GoToWebinar. And I've got some slides and some information that Craig and I want to show you along the way that we're discussing this as well, and that's what you're looking at right now. So wanted to get that in there. Now, Craig, first of all, in your opinion, what is the ideal personality type for an inside salesperson?
Okay, they're going to have some D because they've got to close. They're going to have some I because they've got to relate with different types of people. But here's the big thing. They've got to have some S, supportive, because you're basically doing the same thing all day long, and that's not for everybody, right? Not everybody likes that kind of routine. So if they're not okay with routine, they're just probably not going to cut it in this role. I would look for somebody with a broken wing. Okay, somebody that's a good real estate agent, but for some reason they can't work the weird hours that you must work to be successful, to be a successful realtor. So, maybe it's a woman or man with small kids at home. They can't, they can't work nights or weekends, something like that. Okay, someone that's not willing or able to work nights or weekends because that would be somebody that's not really going to make it as a real estate agent, but may make it, you know, on the phone working for you. Somebody that doesn't have the marketing budget to go out there and market themselves, but they're a good salesperson. They haven't figured out lead generation. They're good when they get a customer, but they haven't figured out lead generation would be a good prospect. The best person I ever hired in this capacity was a lady by the name of Carol Teal. Carol still works at the RE/MAX office today, in fact. And Carol's story is this. She worked for a company called NRS here in Newmarket and was a very good agent. She was making over $100,000 a year, but like many realtors, she got burnt out. And after about 8 or 9 years in the business, she just said, I can't do this anymore. Not that she wasn't making it. She was, you know, 100 grand a year is respectable. But she got burned out with the hours, tired of working all the time. And she left real estate, and she got a job at a bank. And, you know, she was working banker's hours, so that really appealed to her. What really appealed is knowing when she was going to work and knowing, you know, when she wasn't going to work. So here she is at the bank, and happy with the hours, but she missed the money, okay, because you don't make 100 grand a year usually starting off at a bank. So she responded to one of my ads, and I don't know if you're going to show those ads today, Todd. I assume you are, but it talked about how you can make a good income selling real estate, and you could get a salary. You know, you could make a good commission, and you could work controlled hours, and that was really the opportunity. Here it is right now, exceptional opportunity to make $60,000 to $70,000 your first year and double that on your second year. And if you take a look at the set hours, it says above that, work only a 40-hour week, 3 to 4 evenings a week, 1 out of every 4 weekends, 2 weeks of vacation, no open houses, no buyer babysitting, turn off your cell phone. In fact, I don't think Carol even had a cell phone. And when you're off work, truly enjoy your life. Well, that really appealed to Carol. It was kind of like working at the bank and working in real estate at the same time. So what Carol liked about this is every week, even if she had a poor week, she would still make $400 or $500 a week in salary. Okay, but she wasn't limited by the $400 or $500 a week, because the upside was the commission she could make. She could make $60,000, $70,000. In fact, Carol never had a year working with me where she made less than 100 grand a year. And remember, that's net in her pocket, no expenses. She didn't, you know, have to pay for any marketing or advertising. She didn't have to pay for any administrative people. I paid for all that out of my pocket. So what she liked is when she was off work, when she left, she was truly off work. You know, most real estate agents can't say that. You know, Todd, what that's like, right? You think you're off work. You get home, and your wife and your daughters are watching a movie, and you sit down, you got the popcorn out, and all of a sudden your cell phone goes off, and the whole evening's ruined, right? Because you have to run out and you have to present an offer. That's the life of a normal outside sales agent. Well, Carol didn't have to worry about that, and she really liked that. She liked the fact that she knew she could plan with her family, her husband, her family, exactly when she was going to be working, when she wasn't going to be working. She had predictability. She had a guaranteed salary. She had upside commission. It was really the best of both worlds for her. Now, I'm going to say this. There's a lot of Carols in your marketplace. There's a lot of people that would really, really like that kind of position. And there's a lot of people that wouldn't like that kind of position. You know, there's a lot of people like Lindy Black that would have zero interest in sitting on the phone hammering out calls. She's a people person. She wants to go out there and show properties and write offers and list homes. So the realization I came to is they're 2 different jobs. I was trying to do 2 different jobs. I was asking Lindy Black and my outside sales agents to do two different jobs. And as soon as I split those responsibilities and I hired a different kind of person to call the leads and a different kind of person to work with the appointments, that's when my business really took off.
All right, so a couple of observations here. Now that we've kind of identified, you know, the type of person that we're looking for, I think the important part of the marketing to find those people is to try to be as specific as we can, because we want to repel. You tell me if I'm wrong, but I would prefer to repel the people this job is not for, because it is so difficult to find the right inside sales agent and get one that sticks and get one that works, that we tend to kind of be a little more general with our marketing, and we end up interviewing more people, kind of compromising on the person that we're hiring. Isn't this meant to be a difficult position to hire for because it's so important?
It is. The hardest position you're ever going to recruit for is this position. I'll be really honest. It's difficult. It's a bear. It's hard. But that's kind of a good thing, I figure, because when you figure out how to hire somebody really good, you're going to have a huge marketplace advantage. In other words, if it was easy to recruit and train and keep a good inside sales agent, every agent in your marketplace would have one. So when you figure this out, you've got massive leverage.
Yeah, my inside sales guys, Craig, they actually made more money than half of the agents on my team.
Yep, and deservedly so.
Mm-hmm. And they were really good. And as a matter of fact, anytime my business was not doing what it needed to do, I got on the phone, called the leads to make sure we have appointments for extended periods of time later in my real estate career when I was off and doing other things. So it just goes to show you that, I mean, this is where the rubber meets the road. So a couple of observations on the ad, and this is a pretty good ad. This is one that I ran. Number one is we really get into being specific even in the ad on who this is for and who it's not for. Again, so that we can kind of narrow the funnel down and repel the people that we're not interested in.
Yeah, but like if you take a look at this language that Todd just put the green bracket around, it says this is not for the brand new rank amateur agent seeking a shortcut. We're really trying to dissuade people that are brand new or people that are like too lazy to do regular real estate. We're not looking for losers. We're looking for winners. We don't want somebody who thinks, okay, this is going to be really easy. It's easy money, because it's not easy money, right? We're not looking for somebody that's brand new in real estate who just wants a salary. I would prefer to have somebody, honestly, that's already failed at normal real estate. And I'm not going to say that Carol failed at real estate, but I'm going to say she gave it up, right? She gave it up. She made a decision to leave and go work for the bank. And she had a taste of the big money, so that's what drew her back to real estate. But this time, she had the luxury of having set hours. It's the set hours plus the salary that appeals to the high S personality. Okay, but it's the idea that your salary is not going to be capped out. You've got this commission. You can make big bucks doing this as well. That appeals to the high I or the D part of the personality.
Yeah, another observation here on this ad, Craig, is this ad that I ran, like this part up here, that in the top paragraph that says 3 to 4 evenings a week, 1 to 4 weekends a month. See, I already had the days sort of covered. I'm calling back the leads. I've got a couple other really good inside sales agents that are already working primarily during the day. So I was a little short in the evening time. So I put that in the ad. I didn't want more people that could not work some afternoons and evenings. I needed people that could. So I put that qualifier in the ad. Another qualifier is, what these people sound like over the telephone. Like I would have, it started out where I would drive them primarily to the landing page, Craig, and they'd fill out a form, and I'd call them back, and I'd be, holy crap, I can barely understand this guy on the telephone.
No,
so
but 800 number is a good idea for that, because you're going to, if you can't understand them, no one else will be able to. So you get to hear their voice, hear what they sound like when they call into the hotline.
Yep. So I think, and I've heard a couple of things from our members. Number one, this is an entry-level position, so they hire inside salespeople, and then they graduate them to outside salespeople. But I look at it as the reverse. I don't think this is like a stepping stone to an outside salesperson. This is a big freaking deal.
No. Carol was in real estate for 17 years, and she could have intelligent conversations with buyers and sellers. So again, of course it appeals to new people because a brand new agent would love to have the guaranteed salary. But just because it appeals to brand new agents doesn't mean you want a brand new agent.
Well, the best evidence is you. Okay, so you're out there killing it as an outside salesperson, and then all of a sudden you kind of graduate to less and less appointments and more time on the telephone making the calls.
Well, because I realized I can make more money making the calls than going out on the appointments. Do the math.
Which makes my point. This more important.
More important.
More leverage. More important. More leverage and this sort of thing. Okay. So now that we've got a pretty good idea on who we're hiring, how we're going about hiring, and again, all of this information that I'm sharing with everybody on today's webinar, all these slides, this is available in the Inside Sales Agent Manual Systems. I've broken it down into two parts, like the information line script, and it's pretty lengthy. We're not going to go through the script or anything, but the importance of the script, right, Craig, is just to extend the ad so that when they call the information line, we get into more detail about who this is for, who it's not for, and why we're hiring, and
very specific script. What we want to happen at the end of the script is the people that don't feel it's perfect for them hang up. I want that to happen.
Yeah.
Right. We only want to be left. We only want to be left following up with people that are interested in the position. So we're trying to be as candid and honest as possible, hopefully eliminating people that wouldn't be a good fit and attracting people that are going to be a good fit.
Yep. And then with the help of Dan Kennedy, we actually put together a report because, and I want to make this really clear to everybody watching this program, is that this position was so important. We needed to repel as many people as possible so that we're only left with the best qualified candidates. So you can see we've got the ad, we've got the information line script, and of course a landing page, but it all leads to offering a report several pages long that really gets into the nitty-gritty of this position. Now, Craig, I found this to be pretty good because when agents, when a prospect followed through, got the report, read the report, and applied for the job, they had pretty much pre-qualified themselves as someone that would really work in this career. And so when I went down this road, doing exactly what you suggested and what you worked with Mr. Kennedy about, I had less applicants, but the ones that I had, man, they were really good.
Okay, this is really, really good. I spent over 60 grand with Dan Kennedy, and we spent months working on this. Okay, so if you do this one thing, you pay attention to this, this is more than paid for your platinum program for the whole year. This is, as Todd would say, a game changer. Look, here's what I said to Mr. Kennedy. We're talking about Carol and how good she was. And he said, well, then why don't we just go out and try to get another one like her? How obvious is that, right? So what's her personality type? Where did she come from? Okay, what is it about her that makes her so good? So that's pretty obvious. We just went out with our marketing and we examined the one that I had who was a superstar, and we called out for people like her. There's two different marketing campaigns here. They're almost the same, but slightly different, because one is chasing people that have given up their license, like Carol. Okay, or they still have their license, but they're inactive. Okay, because Carol never gave up her license. She was inactive. She was working at the bank. So we targeted those people, but we also targeted people that still had their real estate license and were still active in the business as well, but weren't happy.
Yeah,
that's what you're looking for, right? People that are good, right, but not happy.
So I took the report, and I used one of my inside sales guys at the time. His name was Ted. Rewrote the exact same report, made a few modifications for Ted and his lifestyle, and just used that as leverage. And it
if you take a look at the copy, it's really good. But that copy talks all about the things that most of us hate about traditional real estate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you hate running around presenting offers until midnight,
yep,
hate working with dumb, and you know, we do a really good job of reminding people of all the negatives with normal traditional real estate, and we're positioning this is not, you know, this is a very unique opportunity. It's not like a normal real estate agent's life. It's going to have a totally different experience working on our team in the role of inside sales agent.
Yep. So we get into what it's not, and that's very, very powerful, because this is actually a pre-selling system as well. You know, so we've done a great job of repelling folks, but we also get into pre-selling the ones who are the most qualified for the position.
Hey, look at that line there, the line of copy that says, taking this position frankly requires you to check your ego at the door. Let's talk about that for a minute. You said, Todd, that your guys were making some pretty big bucks, right? Your inside sales agents.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What kind of money were they making on average?
Anywhere from 70 grand to 120.
Okay, so let's just even say 70 grand. Here's the point I want to make. How many agents in Metro Atlanta at that point, how many agents that you compete against were netting less than $70,000? Answer, a lot, right? Thousands of them.
Okay. 95%.
Right, but what gets in the way of them responding and being interested in this in many cases is their ego. Right, a lot of people that get into real estate would be better off to work for all of you, right? There's a lot of people in your marketplace that are struggling and they're working harder and making less money than if they just come and work for you. But what prevents them from coming to work with you is their ego. You know, people get into real estate, they want to be the boss, they want to tell everyone that, you know, they've got their own business. But if the real reason we're in business is to, you know, to make a profit, a lot of these people would have been better off just, you know, and they are better off right now to come and work with you. So you've got to point that out. It's not what you make, it's what you keep in this business. And these people that came to work with Todd and I ended up netting way, 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 way more money than had they been out on their own. So if they could check their ego at the door, they could get the ego out of the way, and they just look at the numbers, could have a way better life. They'll make more money, net in their pocket, and they'll work less and actually enjoy what they're doing.
Yeah, and another reason I really like this report is because the people who really spend the time reading it are those that are interested, that are frustrated. But you have to follow the whole system. The advertising, the way that we described it, you know, the information line script, the way that we described it and laid it out for you, and the report, the way that we described it and laid it out. So you want to really copy these things. If you fail to do that, then you get what you get. So many of the complaints that I get, Craig, from members are, you know, they're inside sales guys, they suck, they have to compromise, it doesn't work out, and it's because they're compromising on the way they're setting up the recruiting system.
Yeah, well, they're getting out of it exactly what they put into it. Usually it's they just hire the first person that comes along, and they say, okay, you're going to be an inside sales agent. Like, does everyone understand what we're talking about? We're running ads, specific ads, to target inactive agents. Okay, they're doing something else, they sell their license, and active agents. Okay, they're still in the biz. They respond to the ad. Okay, the ad's really good at calling out to exactly who we want. They respond to the ad by calling the 800 number. The script on the 800 number actually deters people that aren't a good fit and attracts people or compels people that are a good fit to leave a message. And then we send out, you know, Todd, you keep using the word report, but it's actually a letter from the inside sales agent. So if you responded to my ad or you called into the 800 number and you were still interested after you heard the very specific message about what this position is about and what it's not about, if you left your name and your contact info, you're getting a letter, not from me, you're getting a letter from Carol. Or in your office, what was his name? Ted?
Ted.
It's a letter from Ted. And Ted and Carol, Ted or Carol, are explaining this position. So it's coming from one of the people actually doing this right now, explaining to the prospect, here's why you want to pay attention. Here's why I'm so happy and so lucky to have this position as inside sales agent in Craig's office or Todd's office. And feel free to call me, but here's my story.
And, well, okay, so now, question that we're getting here. All right, so what happens if I don't have an inside sales guy to leverage and put a report together?
Well, we did talk about this. I think you could still use our stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just change the letter to be first person. You could, the team.
Yep. You could you could even say this. You could say you could have the letter coming from Carol or Ted to them, saying, you know, I used to work for Craig Proctor or Todd Walters, and what I'm describing to you is a position that's now available locally. So we could take the letter and we can massage it for your use, even if you don't have an inside salesperson right now.
Yeah. So you're out, and I agree with you. I mean, the option is you can do it first person, you know, from the team leader, but I think it might be better if it came from someone else that describes a position for you, like you're talking about, Craig. I think that might be a better angle, at least to test. And then the process was real simple. Here's what to do next. Okay, and it's to complete a mini application. You basically fax it in. So out of all these marketing that we would do, I would get, and literally, I'm in. Let me set this up for everybody. I'm in Metro Atlanta. There's 60,000 real estate agents active, you know, and most of them not doing very well, failing. So with all of those real estate agents following this system right here, Craig, I would still get a couple of dozen, sometimes 3 dozen requests. I'm talking applications faxed back to me. You know, really working hard to narrow it down, and I want everybody to know that. So when you pull this information down from the website, it's very specific if you're looking at it from my examples, and that's why, because there were so many agents that wanted the position, trying to narrow it down, and then having to sift through 3 dozen applications was tough to hire one person. But I did, and we had a steady stream of inside sales guys, 3 to 5 deep there for about 8 years, and I
don't know if you can hear me, Todd, but I think we lost your audio there. In fact, I don't know if anyone can hear me, but it looks like Todd is gone, so he's probably calling right back in here. So we'll just be patient until that happens. Let me send him a note, because I don't think he knows that he's talking to himself right now. Todd, we can't hear you. See if that works. This is the application that he's filling out right now. And this is what they're going to fax back to you. So they're going to respond to the ad by calling in the hotline. The hotline is really like the job description. And then they're going to get the letter from the inside sales agent. And in there is going to be an application that they have to fill out and fax back. Then you're going to bring them all in for a group interview. And hopefully we can get Todd back on here again.
sorry about that.
What happened?
Just you know, technology.
I just hope you enjoyed talking to yourself for the last couple minutes.
Well, you know, it didn't take me long to realize it.
Did you see my note, Todd? We can't hear you.
No, but I did see where I was not, you know, active in terms of, you know, people could hear.
Yeah, see where it says talking Todd Walters, talking Craig? You want to keep your eye on that thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I sent you a little note that says, see, Todd, we can't hear you?
Yeah.
See that in the chat?
Yeah. So the question I asked you, did you answer it?
I didn't hear your question.
The question was, now that we know who and how, what the process that we're using to attract these inside sales guys, where do you find them? Are you using the newspaper? Are you using Craigslist? Using e-blast?
Good idea. Okay, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about where to run the ad. And I also want to talk about how we group them all together. We know that, right? We don't bring them in one at a time. We want to bring them in, a bunch of them, and we want them to fight for the position. You're going to work like hell to get them, but when you get them, bring them all in together so you got the luxury of choice, and if you got 4 or 5 to pick from, better chance of getting a good one, right? In fact, let me say this. Even if you want to hire 2 of them, because it's not going to take any more time to train 2 of them at the same time. Even if in your mind you only want to keep 1, because you can always get rid of the one that's the weakest. So that's what I'd always do. I always hire 2 at a time. I figure if I'm training 1, I might also train both of them at the same time, and then I can release the one that is the weakest. Only 1 of 2 will probably work out. So you want to know where to run these ads, how to find these people? Okay.
Yep.
Obvious place to start with is in the real estate section of your local paper. Who looks at the real estate section? We'd love to think it's the buyers, right? But we know that's kind of not true. So it's usually real estate agents are looking at their ads. So local real estate section, had 20, 30 pages of realtors and pictures of homes. Definitely run it there. But you can also run it just in the outside local part of the paper, like in the business section or whatever. The ads are editorial ads. Can you show one of the ads again?
Yep.
You got an ad? Okay, we'll have a look at the ad. It's just an editorial style ad, so it can go in the business section, the outside the real estate section. You could run a little classified ad under in careers. You could run it online, like monster.com. You could run an ad there under sales help. Okay, so these are different ads you can run. Or how about this? Here's a bit more of a proactive approach. Okay, running an ad's a passive approach, right? You're waiting and hoping someone responds. That's a passive approach. A proactive approach would be, how about just calling agents, get that list from Leon D'Ancona. You and I did that, right, Todd? Get the list of Leon D'Ancona from all the agents in town. We scratch off the guys at the top of the list. They're not going to come and work for you. Scratch off the guys at the bottom of the list because we don't want them. And you start to call the agents in the middle of the list using that script that I'm sure you guys have on the Platinum site. By the way, it can't be you calling them. You got to have someone else on your team, an administrative person calling them. Why? Because ego is big. If Todd calls someone in Metro Atlanta and says, you want to come and work with me, it doesn't work as well as Dana calling saying, hi, this is Dana. I'm Todd's administrator, and by the way, Todd just wants to compliment you. He thinks, the highest of you, and he has an opportunity. He's wondering if you might be interested in working on this opportunity with him. See, one of the things that Todd's really good at is lead generation. In fact, Todd's generating so many leads that he needs some help in actually following up with these leads. And he's looking for realtors to come and work with him, never for him, but with him, to follow up with all these leads. And Todd's even willing to pay a guaranteed salary and a commission. And, you'd work a set number of hours. You'd never have to take buyers out or sellers out. You just basically sit in the office calling these leads, and you can make, $60,000, $70,000, $100,000 or more doing that. Would that be something you'd be interested in? And, if it's positioned that way, the answer in most cases is, yeah, you bet. Because most of the people you're calling are not netting $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year. So the answer is that's the people you're going to call. If you know your inside sales guys can make 60 grand a year, call everyone you know is not making 60 grand a year. Net in their pocket.
Yeah, just
almost all of them.
Not to interrupt, but while I've got it up on the screen there, if it's on the campaigns for active and the campaigns for inactive agents, the hotline scripts, the follow-up mailings for everything that we're looking at today is on the coaching site under the library tab. We just click on Kennedy Library. We put a little special tab together for that. And when you do, you can see it right there, Inside Sales Recruitment System.
All right, let's look at the ads. Okay. Let's go to, I want to show them the difference between the ads for active and inactive.
All right. So
does everyone understand that? We determined that there were two types of agents that were good at this. Agents that are active still, and those that still have their license but they're not active, like Carol. Okay, so the first ad I think is for active, right? 40-hour work week, real estate career, salary plus commission, earn $100,000 and up. Can we make that bigger?
Sure. How's that?
It's pretty good. You're really good at this thing, other than muting yourself.
I think I actually disconnected myself.
You disconnect yourself? Well,
I think so. I think I clicked the wrong button.
No problem. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Is it really possible, 40-hour work week, real estate career, salary plus commission, earn $100,000 and up for only two lucky York Region licensed agents with experience and success? It is possible. An inside sales position, following up on and nurturing qualified leads, in brackets, no cold calls. Join a team of 4 other inside sales agents supporting one of the top agents in the region. See, we didn't even use my name. Work only a 40-hour work week, 3 to 4 evenings a week, and 3 of 4 weekends a month, and some flexibility. 2 weeks vacation, no open houses, no buyer babysitting. Turn off your cell phone after hours and relax and enjoy your life. Your free days are actually free. Exceptional opportunity to earn $60,000 to $70,000 first year and as much as double that the second year. You must be able to check your ego at the door and effectively represent the agent and team in exchange for the only stress-free real estate career. This is not for the brand new rank amateur agent seeking a shortcut to proficiency, nor is it for the failed agent unable to make a living. Instead, the agents who love this change and do well in this position have been successful, are knowledgeable, have good client management, communication, and organizational skills, and could continue to earn a good living in regular real estate if they had to. Now, why do we talk about that? Remember, the number one thing that prevents good agents from responding is their ego. So we're kind of giving them an out here. We're saying, look, we know that you could, you're not admitting you're a failure by responding to this ad. We know that you could make it in regular real estate if you wished, but this is just a better opportunity. Can everyone see why we're purposely addressing this? If this is positioned that this is only for agents that have failed, okay, this is for people that have failed, agents will be very reluctant to respond. So we're really telling them here, look, it's okay. You're not admitting that you failed if you respond to this. We know we're not looking for failures. We're looking for good agents. We're looking for agents that have been successful, agents that are knowledgeable, have good client management and communication skills. These are people that could continue making a good living in regular real estate if they had to, but they prefer a set number of hours with their free time really totally free to enjoy time with their family or other interests and welcome the opportunity to focus on one sales function with pre-qualified leads. The freedom from endless cold call prospecting, expensive advertising, intense competition, and uncertain, unpredictable feast-famine roller coaster income. If you have a quality track record, the necessary skills, and are ready to come in out of the 80-hour work week, on call all day, all night, all weekend rat race, we have a great place on our unique team for you. To begin the process, simply call toll-free 1-800 blah, blah, blah. Your inquiry will be held in strictest confidence. That's very important too, because they don't want other agents in the area knowing that they're contemplating this position. Your present broker employer will not be contacted. Note, the last time we advertised an opening, we were flooded with applicants and immediately filled the position. Do not procrastinate. Okay, scroll down to the non-active ad. Let's check it out. It's the same ad with a little tweak on it. You're getting pretty good at this, Todd.
Yeah, it's coming up. What I did notice with using the internet and GoToWebinar, like it has to stream through the internet to my computer, then stream through GoToWebinar, so there's a little bit of a delay.
Yeah.
Like I see it well before everybody that's on the webinar sees it. Now, we're getting a lot of questions about some of this stuff, Craig, so I just want to give you a heads up on that. Anyway, here it is. Are you an inactive licensed? It's supposed to be agent right there. That's a typo. This was a proof.
Yeah, are you an inactive licensed agent?
Right.
Fatigued, burnout, unable to handle income uncertainty, yet skilled and knowledgeable? So what's it saying? Are you inactive? You're skilled, but you're kind of burnt out. You could have been successful in real estate, but you decided it wasn't worthwhile. It's very important that you let them off the hook. Like, we know you're not actively selling real estate anymore. It's not that you couldn't make it. It's that, it just wasn't worth the hassle. But check out this opportunity.
Yep.
We're really, really focusing on all of the negative parts of traditional real estate. Sitting, doing open houses, dragging buyers and sellers around, having your cell phone go off in the middle of dinner and you got to run out in the middle of the night to present an offer, blowing your brains out on advertising, cold calling and door knocking, working all these weird hours to not make enough. Well, all of that goes away when you come and work on our team. You work a set 40-hour work week. You know when you're working and when you're not working. And when you leave the office, that's it. You leave. We don't even care if you have a cell phone. You don't need one. No one's going to call you on it. Guaranteed salary every single week. How'd you like to walk away? Good week or bad week? Guaranteed $400 or $500 in your pocket plus commission. Guaranteed minimum you're going to make is $25,000 a year, but you can make up to $100,000 a year. That's attractive to a lot of people.
Amen, brother. And it's a game changer. All right, so I think we've done a pretty good job of walking everybody through, just the whole mindset here and really looking at this position the way it was supposed to be looked at. All right, now that we've gotten the leads, we've gotten the agents, the report's done the job for us of sifting and sorting them, Craig, let's talk about bringing them in and initially the training of it, and then we'll get into some questions that we've got from our members because the questions are all over the place dealing with each level of aspect of it. So talk about the training a little bit. Now that we've got the really good agent, we've selected the right person here, how best to get them up and running efficiently, quick-like, so that everybody benefits?
Okay, well, training them is really easy because remember, I'm already making the phone calls. You're already making the phone calls too, right? So just use the three-way function on your phone. Okay, so if I was training Todd, I would, remember, I'm at my home office. Todd's at the RE/MAX office, so I would call Todd and I'd say, okay, we're on agent office, right, network, so we're looking at the same contact card. We pull up Joe Blow, the prospect. I'm going to have a brief conversation with you first before we dial the prospect up, and I'll say, okay, check out this one, Todd. The guy's name's Joe, and he requested an online home evaluation. So I want you to listen to exactly what I say. Have the universal callback script in front of you. I am going to show you how in 3 minutes or less, I'm going to determine the motivation and timing of this prospect using the script. So I dial up the prospect, and Todd would just sit, I'd mute his line or whatever, he'd mute his line and sit and quietly listen. And we do this for a couple weeks. He listens to me making the calls over and over and over again. And then after each call, I might do a bit of an autopsy on the call and say, hey, Todd, here's what I did a really good job of, but, here's what I didn't do a very good job of. And we're doing this over and over all day long. Here's the prospect. This is what they called on, and listen to how I handle the call. Then after a couple weeks, Todd does the talking, and I'm listening to him. So Todd's calling. We're looking at the contact cards. We see who the prospect is, what the history is, what they called in about, and he makes the calls, he does the talking, and then we do an autopsy on each one of those conversations. So it's great leverage. It shouldn't really slow you down at all. Like I said, you're already making the calls. Now, when you get when you get your first inside sales person that's really good, they can do the training for you. They can train the second, third, and fourth person. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, look, and you made the point there, like we're making the calls anyway. I was talking to a platinum member just a couple of days ago, Craig, on the phone, and I told him, I said, look, he was asking me about training new outside salespeople. I said, are you going on listing appointments this week? And he said, yeah. I said, do you have them going with you? And he was like, no. And I'm like, dude, you should not go on an appointment alone. If you've got newer people on your team that are not doing anything, they have no appointments, they're sitting idle, why would you not take them along? It's the same thing with making
Well, let me add to that. Not only should you do that with the new people, I would do that from time to time even with people like Lindy Black. Right? If Lindy was hanging around the office, she didn't have anything that was going on, I would say, Lindy, I'm going over to Glenway Estates. I've got a listing appointment at 8 o'clock. Do you want to come with me? I help her sharpen the saw, right? Because they've got to be exposed to it constantly. So Lindy was with me for 15 years. You might be thinking, well, why the hell would she need to go out and listen to you again? She's heard it. What new is she going to hear? They've got to be exposed to your message over and over and over again because they start to forget. And that would help her. So, routinely, I would have, not just the new people, of course, but even the people that have been around for years would go out with me from time to time and would appreciate it because it would help sharpen the saw.
That's right. So it's really that simple, is that it's not complicated. Like on the screen, you can give them the DVDs and the CDs and let them listen to our training calls, and they should be doing all that for sure. But I'm just telling you, nothing's going to replace the personal one-on-one listening in or eavesdropping on the calls that you're making or your best ISA is making now. I just don't think that can really be duplicated. And then the reverse, you listening to them, your best inside salesperson listening to them, and over a short period of time with that, you can really put people in.
Well, look, let me say this. This is where many of our members blow it, is they abdicate responsibility. They don't delegate it. Okay, you've got to do this training yourself. If you think you're going to hire somebody and then, have somebody else take care of it or they're going to figure it out on their own, you're going to fail. I mean, you guys are the rainmakers, right? This is what a rainmaker does. A rainmaker is a leader. You've got to be a leader. It's up to you to get the talent. I mean, Todd, that's something you were really, really good at. Something I was good at was finding talent. ABR, right? Always be recruiting. Find talent, but finding talent and not training them is a waste of time. It's going to end up with massive failure. So, but we understood leverage, right? We understood that it is totally worth our time to search out the best talent and spend the time training them because that's where all the leverage is. And if you're not willing to do that, you've heard me say this before, what's your option? Well, your option is working your rear end off forever and growing older. That's your option, right? And hey, Todd, tell me there weren't days when you got frustrated and you felt like giving up. Lots of days, right? Like every day wasn't a good day for us. Every day wasn't a good day for me. Every day wasn't a good day for Todd. So we get it. You spend all this time hiring people, and they don't do what they're supposed to do, and sometimes it just seems like you're wasting your time, and it seems like you're in a helpless position. You're going to have bad days like that when the people you hire don't do what they're supposed to do. They let you down. But what's your option? Guess what? You're right. No one's going to do it like you. No one's going to be as committed as you. No one's going to be as motivated as you. Nobody's going to be have the discipline. But that means you got to do it all. And there's only so much you can do. And that's the difference between having a job and a business. If you want to have a job, well, congratulations, you already got a job. If you want to have a business, you got to leverage.
Yeah, and I think, and this is, to me, the best example of leverage. When you get into having inside sales guys, I mean, if your business develops to the point of doing this, which means you have an overflow of leads, and you're having to bring other people in to help you make the calls, and you look at it like Craig and I looked at it as this is very, very important part of the of our business success. Very, very important. Well, you're really on your way to having a business that can work. You can take a little more time off to pursue some outside interest. Like this summer, Craig, I got lots of emails and pictures from Platinum members that were in Europe and South America and the Caribbean and Mexico and all over the freaking place, pictures of their family. And I'm thinking while they're sending me these things, like, who's running the show back in back where their
Yeah.
business is, and based on everybody that I was getting information from, I knew what their business looked like. They know the importance of having good qualified people that can make these calls and book these appointments and things run. Okay, so let's before we get into
Hey, you know what I was thinking when I saw that stuff? I'm thinking our platinum members have a better life than you and I. That's what I'm thinking. But that's okay. That's what we like. We want you guys to be successful and enjoy life. That's the name of the game. All right, now look, I can't see the questions up here. I mean, I don't know. I guess you can see them because you're the head honcho here in the webinar.
Yep, I can, and I'm going to either read them off to you, or I'm going to get everybody to raise their hand if they have a question, and I'll.
Okay, so there's a couple ways here, right? If they have a microphone, they can do it over a microphone on their computer, or they can ask a question from their telephone, or they can just type it in.
Right.
Right. So you got three choices.
Yeah, I want to definitely test. Asking a question through a microphone. Like I'm gonna call on some of these guys here that have questions.
Yeah,
but a couple of issues that I had, okay, in my business that were problems, and I threw these up on the screen here for everyone to see, is that the inside sales agent getting paid on commission, they're getting a salary, but commission's the big part of their pay structure, is not really knowing the process of, okay, well, when am I going to get my commission check? What's going on with that listing? What's going on with that contract? So we had to create checklists or activity plans that alerted the inside sales agent at every point along the way. So every time there was a turn in the road, so home got listed, they knew it got listed because they were in on it from the get-go to make sure, because they were responsible for the autopsy call. When the home went under contract, an activity plan got launched, pending sale plan. The inside sales agent knew what was going on, so they were in the loop at every process, so they could see their money. Because what I discovered early on is when they were out of the loop, they become a little disconnected, disenchanted, got less focused on calling back the leads and more focused on what was going on with all those other appointments that I set before. So we used our contact management system to keep them in the loop at every point along the way. And that was good. That was good. We were able to run commission reports pending. This is how much money you got on the books coming in next month, inside sales agent, and that was good, really good. So there was a couple of problems that we had that we were able to overcome just with simple systems. So I wanted just everybody to kind of be aware of that. Okay, let's see. Here's what we're going to do. All right. So I've got everybody listening, watching.
Well, I think he's done it again. He's muted himself. Hang on here. Let me type him a little note here, see if this will work. I don't know why it keeps doing that. But let me type him a note. Todd, we cannot hear you. See if he gets that. But we do want to take your questions. And I'd start right now, except for I don't have control of that because he's the organizer. So just hang in here. He'll realize in a couple minutes that he's talking to himself. Then he'll be back to us. I hope. Looks like he's got to practice a little bit more with his webinar. But how are you guys enjoying this so far? I think it's a lot better than just a phone call because we can actually take you onto the coaching site, show you where all the stuff is. This is good stuff, by the way. If you have an inside sales agent and that person's not performing, then you got to get yourself a good one. If you don't have an inside sales agent, it is a game changer because there's only so many calls you can do. That doesn't mean you should stop making the phone calls, by the way. Nobody's better or more motivated at making those phone calls than you are. I would cherry pick the best leads, call them yourself, and then the B leads and the C leads can go to your inside sales agent. For example, I used to call all the new leads myself, and if they required longer-term follow-up, those leads would go to Carol. But you know how it is, maybe 10, 15% of the people we talk to, a brand new lead, they're ready to buy or sell right now. no use turning that over to an inside sales agent. I could just book the buyer appointment or the listing appointment for one of my agents, right?
All right,
and
Craig,
that way I don't have to pay an inside sales agent. Yeah, you did it again, brother.
Yep. I'm still figuring it out, man. It's okay.
Did you see my notes? It says, Todd, we can't hear you. This time I put it in capital letters. Did you see that?
I did. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
How did you catch on to the fact that you were talking to yourself?
It pops up on my screen.
Okay. Do you know what you're doing wrong?
No.
Okay.
I actually think I'm just losing the audio connection. It's just streamed.
Is that right? Okay.
I'm on an internet.
That's right. I was entertaining everybody.
All right. So let's go to Don Nicholson. Don, I'm going to unmute your microphone here, and because you asked a question, so hopefully you're paying attention. And so let's see if we can get you. Don, you there?
I am here.
Hey, go ahead and ask your question that you had there, buddy.
I was just responding to Craig. He was asking how I was enjoying this. I said awesome. But I think that is the biggest challenge. That what Craig was saying is just keeping on people. They ask them to do things, and they do it a little differently than you, and you can start getting really focused and too focused on trying to make them do it perfectly.
Yep. It is frustrating. Yeah, I don't like that.
I'll fix that. There you go. I'll fix that.
Yeah, it is frustrating because they're just not going to do it perfectly. But I looked at it this way. My choice was either be a control freak and die young, right, working myself to death, or accept the fact that, yeah, they're not going to do it exactly like the way you're going to do it, but it's going to be good enough, and it's going to provide you a much better result and a better life, not only for you but for them as well.
All right, let's go to Eric. Eric, can you hear me, buddy? Eric, you there?
Is Eric on the phone or Mike?
I don't know, but right now he's on nothing because I just muted his microphone again.
Okay.
All right, Gil Szabo. All right, so Gil, he's a whiz at technology, and he's been at this. He's been around a while. He saw this thing develop early on. So, Gil, I'm going to unmute your mic. Let's see if we can get you. You there, Gil?
Gentlemen, how are you today?
Gil, how you doing?
I'm good, Craig. You?
I thought he was going to say you're older than dirt.
Well, you know what? I'm a little bit older than you.
Just about 6 months, so that makes you a young man. What's on your mind here today, Gil? I mean, you've been at this a while. What's happening in your inside sales department?
We've had 3 or 4 people. We're just trying to get someone that is going to fit well with us. And I'm in such a small pond here. I'm really struggling. You know, we're.
You mean struggling to find an inside, like good inside salespeople?
Yeah.
It's the hardest position, really, isn't it? I mean, you know that because you've been at this for a long time. When you find a good one, it's a game changer, but it's a double-edged sword. Like I said earlier, it's a bear. It's the hardest position to recruit for, which is kind of a good thing when you have one because you know that your competitors are not going to figure this out.
Absolutely.
Right. It's so hard to recruit one that when you get one, it's a massive competitive advantage over everybody else because your competitor is going to wonder, like, wow, how do you get so much done? How can you be in so many places at the same time?
Yeah, and when you see someone where it's working, like we were just out in Paul Rushforth's office in Ottawa a month or 2 months ago, and when you see it working, it's beautiful. You know,
how many ISAs does Paul have?
4.
4, yes.
4 ISAs, and they follow up with about 700 or 800 leads a month, and they're on track to do 650 transactions this year.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
that's what I had 4 inside sales at my peak. What about you, Todd? How many do you have?
5.
5. See, he always has to outdo me by 1. Have you noticed that? Yeah, he had to up me. Had to up me by 1. So he had 5.
But only 3 of them though were really good.
Okay, well then I feel better now because I had 4 that were really good, so I upped you by 1.
There you go. Yeah, so I'm just I'm gonna try everything I can again to see what we can shake loose.
You know, well, tell us. Let's do an autopsy on this, Gil. what have you been trying? What have you been doing so far to find one? Let's start with that.
I've been going after recruiting both inside and outside salespeople, and what I found worked most effectively for us here was for me just to phone the realtors myself. And
now, is it better for you to call them, or have you tried to have like an assistant or someone call them?
We did have someone phone them once. This is a couple of years ago. We did have someone also in my office phone them and try and gauge their interest initially, and
then people that were interested, you'd follow up with.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What I found now is that, and I was just talking to Nicole about this while we were on the call, is that I'm wondering what the difference is in a smaller market and a bigger market. And I'm thinking here, maybe there's more ego here than in a
well, yes, absolutely, because they all know you. They all know you. When they know you, I'm telling you, it's harder to recruit them when they know you.
Yeah. Well, I'm just having a bear of a time because, anyways, but we've tried.
Gil, I would go back to having, because the ego problem, and they all know you. Like all these guys, small market. How many agents are there?
145.
Okay, so you know them all. The number one thing I promise you that's preventing people from just succumbing and calling you and saying, you know what, I know I'd be way better off financially coming to work with you, Gil, is ego.
Yeah.
And even when you call them, it's it's just not the same. Their immediate response is they're almost like embarrassed. So
yeah,
if you have your assistant call, if you notice that when you call them, they're reluctant. They're like they don't want to. They just don't want to say to you, well, look, I think I would be better off coming to work with you. It's that whole ego thing that's a problem.
Yeah, they are reluctant, but what I found was when I phoned them personally here, it almost seemed like it was more validating to them. When Nicole phoned them, it was just, yeah, Gil doesn't have the time to make the call himself.
Okay, so they felt offended. In other words, if Gil wants to talk to me about this, why doesn't he call me himself?
Right. Yeah.
We did get that once. We did get that once in a while. Now, keep in mind, the other reason I had Stephanie calling my people is because we had thousands to call, where you've only got 147 to call.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, no, 147, and after I trimmed all the fat off and
right, the guys you don't want.
I got 23 people that I'm working at recruiting. That's it. So, you know what, I'm looking at Kelowna and seeing if we can recruit someone out of there. Or, I'm just looking at all our options.
Okay, what about recruiting someone that doesn't have a license and you get them licensed, or recruiting someone that's inactive? They've still got their license, but, like Carol, they're working at a bank or something.
I've got 2 people that are inactive that I'm pursuing, and people that have had their licenses. I guess I'm going to have to try and find a list of how.
Well, it might be somebody brand new, or somebody that's like semi-retired. They're retired. Be a perfect job for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only concern I have about the people that are retired, or they've been selling real estate for a long time, is they're kind of set in their ways, and it's harder to teach them the universal callback script. It's harder to get them to stick to that, because if they've been selling real estate the old way for 20 or 30 years, they want to do it their way.
Yeah, and here they don't want to work, right? They either golf or go fishing or do whatever, right? They don't want to work.
That's everywhere. They don't want to work.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah, that's who gets into real estate, people that don't want to work.
Okay.
Okay, well, except for us on the call.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the truth is this. How did you get into real estate?
Well, we had a property we were looking at developing, right? So, yeah.
Right, but it's by accident, right?
Yeah, it wasn't a planned thing.
Right. It's not like if I was speaking at a school, and there were 100 kids in the class, and I said 100 kids in the auditorium. I guess there's not 100 kids in a class. There's maybe 20 or 30. But 100 kids in an auditorium, and I said, what do you guys want to do when you grow up? How many of them would say, I want to be a real estate agent? So people get in. Not too many, right? How many people want to be a doctor? How many people want to be a lawyer? How many people want to be a baseball player or hockey player? Yes, but this is not like the kind of thing that people dream about getting into. Most people get into it by accident. So, you know, my dad was in real estate. I failed at a university and stuff, and by accident I get into real estate. And Todd, what were you doing? You had some kind of pizza franchise or something going on, right?
Yep. Yep. It was failing.
Why did you get? You failed your way to success, right? That's the point. Is we got into real estate kind of by mistake, but we were determined to make it work. A lot of people get into real estate because they don't want to work. You see the difference?
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of people get into real estate. A lot of people get into real estate because it's a good excuse for a job. You know, I can tell everybody I got a job. I'm in real estate.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those careers that isn't put up on a pedestal by any stretch of the imagination, right?
Well, look, you're after the workers, and they're out there.
Yeah, I'll find them.
Do you want to know an interesting statistic? Just by the way, this is off the cuff. You know Leon Dancona, Gil, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was talking. Todd and I were talking to Leon last week. There's 1.2 million real estate agents in all of Canada and all the United States. So North America, really.
Right.
I guess we're not counting Mexico, but Canada and the United States. 1.2 million realtors. How many of the 1.2 million realtors in all of Canada and the United States make $250,000 or more? Take a guess.
Oh, a quarter of 1%, if that.
41,000. 41,000.
1.2 million.
Yeah, 41,000 out of 1.2 million make $250,000 or more.
Yeah, that's pretty.
And hey, Todd, do you remember the stat? How
That's
many agents did one transaction or less was crazy? It was like 600,000 or 700,000 of the 1.2 did one transaction or less last year.
Yeah, it was just stupid numbers.
I talked to Leon last time. He told me if I moved to Vancouver, I could make twice the amount of money.
Yeah, you better start packing your bags. Hey, we better keep moving here. Thanks for calling in and being part of the call here today, Gilly. Take care.
All right, let's go to Eugene Bellio. He's down in Orlando, Florida area there, Craig. So, Eugene, unmuting your microphone right now. Go ahead,
Hi,
Eugene.
can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Eugene. You are on the air.
And thank you, Todd. Hello, everybody. Craig, I'm just trying to figure out the math on it. You do a call every 3 minutes. And assuming that you employ somebody and it takes them, they're only half as good as you, so it takes them 6 minutes per call. That's 10 calls an hour by
Right.
6 or 8 hours a day. So you're talking 60 leads a day. I'm just wondering, I'm not generating that. How do I employ somebody to and use them and work them and for that period?
Okay, well, first of all, you could hire somebody part-time to begin with.
Okay, so
Yeah, and the truth may be, Eugene, maybe you don't need an inside sales agent yet because you can handle all the leads that you're generating. You see,
yes.
What we're talking about here is Todd and I got to the point where we couldn't call all the leads ourselves. So we started to give the leads to the outside sales agents, and they weren't doing a very good job. That's when we realized, holy cow, it's a waste of time giving these great leads to the outside sales agents. Even though they're really good being outside sales agents, they're horrible at being inside sales agents. The realization became we need a different kind of person. The leads need to go to one kind of person, and the appointments need to go to another kind of person. There were two different positions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just like the administrative stuff in your office goes to one kind of person, and the buyers and sellers go to you.
Okay.
But originally, you're doing it all, right? You're doing the administrative, You're working with the buyers, you're working with the sellers. So it's the next evolution in your business will be when you get your marketing cranked up to the point where you physically, Eugene, you can't call all the leads. What are you going to do? What's your option? Your option is you could stop running the ads. That would solve the problem, but that would seem like a shame to stop doing the part that works. Or you could look at giving the leads to someone else. Well, who are you going to give the leads to?
Okay.
Right, that you're going to need an inside sales agent. So this may be premature for some of you, but still good to think about because I'm under the assumption you're the kind of guy that wants to continue to grow your business. It's going to keep growing. The natural thing, you get better, it keeps growing, you generate more leads. you're going to reach a point, it might be 6 months, it might be a year down the road, where you're not going to be able to keep up with all of the business that you've generated, and this is the solution. Not giving the leads to an outside sales agent, but hiring a really good inside sales agent. And think about this. When you hire a really good inside sales agent and you're producing a lot of appointments, think of how easy it is to recruit outside sales agents. You know, if I called Todd, hey, Todd, if you come over and you work for me, I'm not going to give you leads. I'm actually going to give you appointments. You'll look at your day timer, and every day you're going to have 3 or 4 appointments set up. Would that interest you? So when you have a good inside sales agent, it makes it even easier to recruit high-quality outside sales agents, because every real estate agent on the planet wants appointments, not leads.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good stuff. Let's see who's next.
Yeah, we're going to go to Matt Miguel with, I think he works with Robert Chavez. So let's go ahead and let me find his. There we go. All right, Matt, you are live on the Craig Proctor Show.
Hey, gentlemen, how y'all doing today?
Good. You know, I've always wanted my own talk show.
I'm a first-time caller, by the way. Long-time listener.
A long-time listener, Matt. And Matt, where are you located?
Northern Virginia, D.C. area.
Okay. What's on your mind? What's on your mind today, Matt?
2 quick questions. One, if you hire your first ISA, what do you? I noticed the timing, I guess, hours worked per week, weekends, and things like that was in your ad. When you're hiring your first one, what do you kind of set them up for in terms of hours to work? 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, 1 week? How do you set it up?
Afternoon shift. Afternoon shift. Carol would come in at 1 o'clock, and she'd work till 9 p.m. Now, you might only want to do that 4 days a week. Maybe it's Monday through Thursday, and she can take Friday night off. But I want her, she's taking Friday, maybe she doesn't come in at all. But Saturday, I want her in there at about 10 o'clock, and she's going to work a half day on Saturday, 10 to 1. So Monday to Thursday, 1 to 9. She gets Friday off. She gets all of Sunday off, but she comes in Saturday morning, and you can't call people before 10 o'clock. Shouldn't really do that. So between 10 and 1, she'll work 3 hours there.
Okay. Thank you very much. Second question, how many leads should you be generating before you consider hiring an ISA, and how many outside sales reps can one ISA support?
Very good question. A really, really good outside sales, inside sales agent like Carol can support 3 outside sales agents. 3 of them. Now, let's go back to Eugene's map, because you want to know, like, well, how many appointments, what should I expect from an inside sales agent? So, you know, Todd and we can be out and off the phone on average of 3 minutes, okay? So that includes calling, reaching somebody, you're on the phone and off the phone every 3 minutes. If that was true, 3 minutes on and off the phone, that's 20 conversations you can have per hour. But let's use Eugene's math from a few minutes ago. He says, well, you know, what if you're 6 minutes on the phone? If you're 6 minutes on the phone, that's only 10 conversations per hour. Okay, 10 conversations per hour times 8 hours is 80 conversations. Okay, 80 conversations, they should book about 6 to 8 appointments every single day for you. So if you had one inside sales agent and they were able to book 6 to 8 appointments, that might keep 2 or 3 outside sales agents busy. Now let's expand this. Todd said he had 5. Okay, I had 4. Let's just work with 4. Okay, so if you've got 6 to 8 appointments, let's be conservative and say 6 a day times 4 inside sales agents. Okay, that's 24 appointments every single day. How would you like to have that going on? 24 appointments every single day. And that is how you sell 500 or 600 homes a year. And that's what Paul Rushfort's doing. Did that answer your question, Matt?
Yeah. How many leads would you feel like need to be created for these people? 60 a day? Is that kind of what you're basing the math on?
Oh, leads. Okay, yeah, okay. Well, if they're going to work an 8-hour shift, right? I said that they should, if we use Eugene's math of they spend 6 minutes on the phone, right, with each prospect, that means they're going to call 10 leads per hour. In an 8-hour shift, there would be 80 leads. So to keep Carol busy, she's got to have 80 leads to call every day. Now, keep in mind, you might be thinking, well, hell, that's a lot of leads. But those are not all new leads, right? Some of the leads that she's going to be calling are people she talked to yesterday, last week, 2 months ago. So it might only be 20 or 30 new leads every day, and the other 50 or 60 leads are going to be ones that she's following up from, past phone calls. So I'm going to say, to answer your question, if you can generate 20 to 25 leads a day that you're not calling, that would keep your inside sales agent happy. Less than 25 leads a day, I don't think you need a inside sales agent. Not yet.
A lot of the leads that we're currently generating, I would say maybe only 20 or 30%. We're using internet tools like Market Leader and stuff like that. Only 20 to 30% of them come with phone numbers. I'm envisioning that a large piece of this role, and correct me if I'm wrong, of course, would be a lot of the email, the trying to develop a dialogue with these people in order to get a phone number.
Yeah, well, good luck, because I don't even call, if they don't have a phone number, I don't even call them a lead.
Okay. So that's 20 to 25 phone numbers, new phone numbers a day.
Yeah, valid phone numbers, because if you've got a false, fake phone number, that doesn't work either. Look, here's the thing. You got their name and you got their email address. If that's all you've got, have you figured out a way to get them to come forth with their phone number? Because if you can't talk to them, you can't use the universal callback script. If you can't use the universal callback script, you can't determine their motivation and timing, and you can't book an appointment. So maybe you're a better man than me, but I could never figure out what to email them to compel them to come forth with their phone number, not in big numbers, every once in a while. Todd, over to you. Did you ever figure anything out? Like if you got just their email address, how do you get them to come forth with their phone number?
It's just low percentage water, man. I mean, it just nothing we ever did really worked out well. I'm not saying it never happened. It's just we didn't find anything that actually worked consistently well. No, I can't really. Some of the members that are getting, we talk about this a lot, Craig, on the call with, when I'm on the phone with the members individually, because this is an issue, and some of the things they'll say, look, I've got, some good news about, a property that you were asking about. What's the best number for me to call you at? I mean, just closing questions instead of broad general offers. And you may get some decent response out of that.
Hey, I'd like to hear from members. I mean, I'm open to some good ideas on how we get people that only, they come into an IDX and they only leave their email address. How do you get them to come forward with a phone number?
The only thing I'll just say is it is a really time-intensive psychological game that, like you were saying, Todd, about closing questions, baiting them with different pieces of information, whatever it might be, and it's just a really kind of arduous and really time-intense process is the only way that I've had success. But that, along with data mining, actually I hired a virtual assistant that will take their name and email address, run it through 10 different websites online in order to get a phone number. Those two things in combination probably takes the percentage of people that I get with a name and an email address only. I'm probably able to get another 25% of those some sort of good, valid phone number.
Okay, there's good and bad with that, the data mining. Here's the good. How many agents that you're competing with do you think are going to that effort? Answer, 0. So that's good. I like the idea that you're being kind of a detective and you're rolling up your sleeves and doing that extra work. But how do they respond when you hunt their phone number down and you get a hold of them?
Believe it or not, I've never had one person even ask me how I got their phone number.
That's kind of weird, Because you'd think.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was
That'd be
thinking.
the first question they'd ask.
I was even a little bit concerned about it, like, oh, man, I'm just going to call this guy. He obviously didn't give me his number. But using just regular script, hey, this is Matt Nagel. You just registered on my website, yesterday. Just wanted to let you know I'm a real person behind the site, and then never even bring it up. You just kind of roll right into real estate.
Okay, well, that either means you're lucky or you haven't called enough of them yet.
Maybe a little.
Okay, let me ask you this then. What is the quality of these people that have decided not to give you their phone number? Is it any different, better, worse than the people that do?
No, there's definitely a higher motivation level, better quality. If they're willing to give you their phone number, they are raising their hands saying, hey, I'm interested in you touching base with me. Okay,
so here's what I want you to weigh. I want you to weigh the fact that you've admitted it's arduous. I got to spend a lot more time to hunt down the phone numbers for these people, and then when I do talk to them, the leads aren't as good a quality. Is it worth it, or when you add all that up, is a better decision to just simply work with the people, focus on generating enough leads where you actually have a phone number?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's the decision that I made. Is it possible to play cat and mouse with them and get them to come forward with a phone number? Yes. Are the leads as good? Usually, they're hiding behind their email address for a reason, right?
Sure.
So that's something we all need to evaluate. I'm just making some points here. I'm not saying there's any right or wrong. I'm just saying I didn't pursue them. Now, keep in mind, that was a couple of years ago. And a couple of years ago, more people were willing to offer up their phone number than they are today. So you got a bigger problem today than I had a few years ago, because there's a lot more of your leads coming in for you right now without phone numbers, correct?
Yep. Only 20% actually probably volunteer their phone number, maybe 15 to 20.
Yeah. So it's a problem. So I'm totally open to this. We need to mastermind this. We need to figure out, okay, what are the best techniques to get them to come forward with a phone number? How can we do this with the least amount of work, effort, time on our behalf? So that's a good call right there. That's a very good topic. And I'm going to encourage anyone that's having success with this to email their thoughts to Todd, and we should cover that on one of our future calls. Okay, so the topic is, how the hell do we get people to come forward with their phone number when obviously they didn't want to originally? How do we do that? What's the best way without us having to spend an enormous amount of time? And at the end of the day, is it worth it? Are the quality of these leads not worth it, not worth the effort and the time that we put into it? Or are they? Is there a smart way to get these people to come forward, and are these leads just as good as everybody else? So you make a good point there, Matt.
Appreciate it. You guys have a great day.
All right, you too. Let's go back to the bat phone, see who's next.
Yep. Okay. So I'm hoping Paul is still listening. Paul can too, up in Seattle. You are live. Can you hear us?
Hey, yeah, I can hear you.
Good. Paul, how you doing?
Can you hear me? I'm doing pretty good. This is actually Patrick, Paul's assistant, and I've been listening in on the call. And I just have one question. We hired an ISA about 2 months ago, and she's not really she's not booking that many appointments. And I guess my real question is, how long should we keep this person around until we just, give her the big ugly axe?
Yeah, well, Paul's definitely going to delegate that to you, I'm sure.
To fire her? Yeah, that'd be really fun.
I'm only kidding. Look, that's a tough one without knowing the whole situation. But the question is how long do we let him go? Before we let him go. When's enough time? What do you think right now about this person? What does Paul? Do you think she's going to make it, or do you know without any doubt at all that she's just not the right person?
Well, okay. Well, we talked about hiring rock stars and having, a person who's going to be so awesome that it just
Yeah, but
flips
you can
this
make
thing on its head.
Carol didn't start as a rock star. I made her into a rock star, but she had rock star material. She had potential to be a rock star. But there's also people I hired where, I put them on a 90-day probation. I know Todd does the same thing. We put them on a 90-day probation for that exact reason, because you're going to know in less than 90 days whether they have what it takes. And some of these people, after about a month, it's like, I know this is not going to work. I've put the effort into it, but I just know it's I'm wasting my time and I'm wasting their time, and you got to cut your losses.
Okay, so maybe one more month, and if it's not, because our goal for this person was 3 to 5 appointments a day, and she is working from she gets to the office at noon and leaves at around 8 at night. And
okay, let me ask you this: does she like it?
I don't think she likes it. She doesn't seem like she really likes it. She complains a lot, and honestly, she's not really getting along with the other people at the office either.
Okay, well, that's a problem. Okay, she doesn't
like it. A problem.
She doesn't like it, right? See, with Carol liked it right away. Carol liked it right away. Was she a rock star right away? No. Now, I've had other people. Okay, let me give you a story here. I had one lady that I hired as an inside sales agent, and I'll tell you, she was pretty consistent, Patrick, because she was getting nowhere with everybody.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
Like day after day, week after week, she wouldn't book any appointments. So I sit down with her to try to find out, like, what the hell is going on here? Like, why are the other inside sales agents booking all these appointments and you're striking out? And she was, visibly not happy with the job. And here's what she said to me. She said to me that if she was a buyer, she would never agree to come in and meet with us. So she didn't believe in the offer.
She didn't believe in the system in the first place.
Didn't believe in the system. So the first sale that every salesperson must make is to themselves. If she didn't believe that it was worthwhile coming in for the buyer appointment, if she didn't believe in that offer, how could she convince anybody else of it?
Yeah, and we had a situation.
I think it was on Friday. I let it go.
We had one on Friday where Paul was making sales calls after hours, and our new person, Connie, the other ISA, was in there, and Paul just knocked out 4 appointments in a couple of hours, and Connie, not a single one. And it's kind of like, it's obvious. Obviously Paul's, again, like you mentioned earlier, he's got all the motivation. It's his business. He's making these calls for supporting this thing that he's built up, and Connie has less motivation. But at the same time, 4 to 1, 4 to 0.
Well, exactly. You wouldn't expect maybe her results to be equal to Paul, but if she's got zip, she's got 0.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think you know the answer.
I think I do. All right. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate your input a lot.
Look, remember, Patrick, and pass this on to Paul. It's the hardest position to recruit for. You will have more people. You'll have more people fail.
We got a lot of crazy people.
Yeah, you might have to hire 4 of them to get one that sticks.
Yeah, it's true. God, you wouldn't believe some of the people who came out of the woodwork when we started recruiting for this job, and the person that we ended up hiring had her own real estate office, and it closed down for, I'm not even entirely sure what reason there was for it, but out of all the people that we did speak to, she looked the best on paper, but in reality, it's kind of panning out differently.
Get rid of me.
Yep. Well, keep at it, because remember, what's your option?
Yeah. The option is to either work harder and go insane, or keep recruiting and find somebody that's going to make everybody's lives easier.
Hey, I got to tell you, every day I think about going to the gym. And some days it actually happens. And when I get to the gym, there's that Stairmaster. And that thing is a bear. It's the worst equipment in the entire gym. I can always be sure no one will be on it because it's the worst equipment in the gym. And I get on the thing, and I get on for about 3 or 4 minutes. And, when you're warming up, it's the worst. When you're warming up, it's painful. And if you can get past the first 5 minutes, I find that I'm okay. But, in the first 5 minutes, do you know how badly I want to give up? You know,
Yeah.
First thing in the morning, it's a hell of a way to wake up, actually. You know, I'm waking up at the gym. I haven't even had a coffee. I'm on the Stairmaster. It's a hard way to wake up, but I'll say to myself, well, what's my option? Right?
Yeah.
My option is don't exercise, don't go to the gym, give up, and, you know, I guess my option is go out there and buy a whole bunch of new suits.
Right.
But, you know, look, if you want to get good results, whatever it is, it's going to take a lot of work. And some of this is harder than others. The inside sales agent, going to be honest, you just repeat it again, hardest thing you're ever going to do in your business, but a huge game changer.
Yeah.
When you find one, easier to get the second one, easier to get the third one, and so on. Getting that first really good one is difficult, and that's why very few people have them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. That's definitely the truth.
Yep, that's why no one else is on the Stairmaster at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah, you got to put in the work.
All right, well, I hope that's helpful, Patrick. Let's see what else we've got in the queue.
Yep. Okay, a couple of follow-ups here from people that ask questions but don't have their hand raised. Martin Sheff said, okay, what's the what's the average salary? What's the commission level that should be paid out here? Like, where do we start with paying these inside sales guys?
Okay, well, Martin, first of all, bonjour. Martin is in the Montreal area, and he was at my Montreal seminar last month, so I know Martin. Pay them, okay. I paid them a salary of somewhere $400 to $500 a month. That's going to vary on your marketplace. You know, if you're in New York City, you got to pay them more. If you're in the Midwest, you can pay them a little less. Would you have to pay them in Atlanta, Todd?
Paid them $500 a week on average. 10, 12%.
That was big money back then in Atlanta, $500 a week.
It was, man. Hey, I remember paying one guy. Paid one guy a lot more money than that. But you know, it just depends on who they are and what kind of job they're doing, and even had some guys straight commission for a period.
Okay, let's go to the commission part of it. So so you can pay them either a straight commission, like Todd mentioned, but it's easier to recruit them if you pay them a small salary and a commission. Now, the commission you pay them varies anywhere from 10 to 15%. I don't know anyone that's ever paid them more than 15%, and I don't know anyone that's paid them less than 10%. I was paying mine 12%. But that money would come off of the outside sales agents. Like if I book an appointment for one of my outside sales agents, I'm going to pay myself the 12%. Right? Because I am the inside sales agent on that transaction. If it's Carol's going to get 12% off of the top. So, you know, 100% comes in, 12% gets taken off and given to Carol, and then the outside sales agent gets the rest. So it's your outside sales agents that are paying for this service. They're being supplied appointments, so it shouldn't come off of your end as the rainmaker. At best, you could split it. You know, if it's 10%, commission check comes in for 10 grand, you could take 10%. You take $1,000 off to pay your inside sales agent, and then there'd be $9,000 left that you could split equally between yourself and your outside sales agent. But absolutely, for sure, it's not going to come off of your end, like 100% off of your end.
Nope.
All right, Martin, I hope that helps.
Yep.
Hey, Martin, you should see how good my French is getting, Martin.
All right, so and I believe we've just about covered all of the questions that I can see here, Craig. There are a lot of, obviously people have the same questions. So you know what? That's a lot of information. Now, real quickly, like I've got a screenshot up here on the coaching site. So you can go to the coaching site, and you can go to the library tab and click on File Library, and we actually, under the Categories link, we have our own category for Platinum Inside Sales Agents. And the 2 PowerPoints that I used in today's webinar are right there in that Platinum Inside Sales Agents category in the File Library. Okay? Lots of information in there. And under the library tab, under Kennedy material, we were looking at that a little earlier. So we've got two different places. There's also
He's gone again. I can't believe it. But look, what you're looking for specifically is you want the ads that we run for inside sales agents, or the script if you're going to make outbound calls to them, and probably test yourself making the calls versus having an assistant, an administrative person on your team making the calls. But the ad is going to go to a script, right? The editorial style ad is going to tell them, hey, if you're interested, call the 800 number. So you're going to find the script there on the coaching site, but then you're going to find the letter, or Todd called it a report, but it's a letter from my inside sales agent or Todd's inside sales agent, so you can massage it. And I think we have examples where my letter was used by other Platinum members. Okay, so it would say, you know, hi, my name is Carol. I work with, you know, Craig Proctor in Newmarket, and you know, Todd Walters in Atlanta is looking for a position like I have in Newmarket, and then, you know, we segue into the story. I don't know if you really get that, but when you see the stuff on the website, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Now, look, we spent a ton of time and a ton of money and worked with Dan Kennedy for over 6 months creating this stuff. It's really, really, really good stuff. So, you know, I'm going to repeat this again. This stuff alone is worth your entire admission in the Platinum program if you do something with it. Now, that's not to say all of you should. Some of you are just plain and simple not ready for an inside sales agent yet. But when you are, you want to jump all over this. Going to warn you again, though, difficult to recruit for this position, but definitely well worthwhile. Todd, have you joined us again?
Yep. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I don't know what you keep doing, but you keep muting yourself.
It just automatically hangs up. It's just some sort of audio connection problem through my internet phone that I'm using. But anyway,
you need to call in on a real phone.
That's the only phone I got, dude.
Okay, well, just saying.
Oh yeah, my technology. Oh, like for example, if here at the office, if the internet goes out, I lose my phones too. So everything runs through the internet.
Better start doing
these. Works fine.
Better start doing these from home.
Normally it works fine. I haven't had this issue.
You know, you can use
often.
you can use your iPhone for this as well.
I could use my handy dandy iPhone, no question about it.
But it's kind of echoey if you use that.
Right, it is. Now with that, the next thing on the agenda, Craig, is we have our Platinum Outside Sales Agents Conference coming up here August 8th, 9th, and 10th in Toronto. So you and I are going to be going right at it with all the Platinum members there on day one, on Wednesday.
We are definitely going to go. We're going to go all out, and we're going to come right at you guys. So we have about 100 people registered. Actually, we have a few more. We got, to be honest, we got too many assistants coming, so we're going to limit this thing at 5. You can bring 5 assistants. We got some of you bringing, 12, 13, and I got to tell you, the problem is that the room isn't big enough. So, Todd, I believe you sent out an email today saying, you got to woe down, bring 5. You can bring up to 5. You can't be bringing a dozen because, we want to make sure we have seats for all the rainmakers. We don't want the rainmakers sitting out in the hall and the assistants and other people inside the main room. So, Todd, I'll let you handle that.
Yeah, here's how I'm going to handle it. I mean, my priority is a Platinum member and 5 assistants, and if there's room left over, no problem. But if there's not, then yeah, I'm going to have to. I got a list of who all these people are, and I'll just have to go to them and say, hey, you need to work this out some kind of which way.
Do you want to know what else is interesting, Todd? That the LA Super Conference is 112 days, 8 hours, 9 minutes, and 18 seconds away.
Yeah, that'll be here before you know it.
So it's only 12 seconds away now.
Yeah, we've already started a lot of work on that as well. So looking forward to seeing everybody. And Craig, I want to thank you for the whole Inside Sales. I think you pioneered this system for sure, and I was fortunate enough to be there when you kind of rolled it out in the beginning, and I mobilized quick to copy And it was a game changer for me, man, so I really appreciate it.
Well, hey, I got to say this. When I first told you about this, your eyes lit up, and you immediately got it, and you went out and you did it, and you did it very well. And all of the top guys in our system immediately have the same response. You know, we talked about Paul Rushforth. As soon as Paul heard about this, he went, he did it, he mastered it. Do you think it's hard to hire inside sales agents in Ottawa? Yep, it was, but he figured it out. He's got 4 of them, 600 transactions a year. Okay, it's hard in Atlanta, it's hard in Toronto, it's hard in every marketplace to do it, but the guys that are winning big with this system are all doing it. Not everyone in the Platinum program has an inside sales agent. Not everyone should at this point, but if you're real serious about really getting to that big level, that is the game changer. I can't use that word enough today, game changer, because it completely changes everything. It's the missing piece in the puzzle. It's how you go from X transactions to 10X. So it's well worth the effort. So check out all the resources that we have here. Todd, you did a great job putting everything together for this webinar, and I want to thank you on behalf of the entire Platinum program for what you do.
Yep, it's a lot of fun, Craig. We're doing well. It's great seeing all these members and their businesses make quantum leaps. So we keep getting lots of emails about, hey, send your success stories, please, to tw@toddwalters.com. We love sharing them with others. I pass those along to Craig, and Stephanie uses them in the newsletters as well. So we want to hear your story.
Yeah, I hope everyone's reading those newsletters. We do a lot of work on those, and Todd is forwarding me questions, success stories, and we appreciate that.
Yep. So with that, it's going to wrap up our program today. Craig, thanks again, and we're going to go sell some houses.
All right. Take care, everyone. We'll see you in Toronto.